All right, guys, welcome back to the Dan Cave. And today we're going to be looking at Mirrorverse again, but this time I'm going to be focusing on kind of your starting path. So if you're new to Mirrorverse or you're really looking at getting in there at global launch, there are a few things you can do to set yourself up for success in this game. But before we do that, as always, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That really helps us. We're on our way to our first 1,000 subs, so please make sure to hit that sub button. It helps out the channel, and we're just a little over 200 away from hitting that milestone. If you want to join the conversation, make sure to check us out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/defaultdan, where we do this live during the week, and check out the Discord and other areas where you can let us know what you want to see in these videos and future content coming out. All those links will be in the description below, so just click those and follow along. So let's just jump in. All right, guys. So when it comes to Mirrorverse 101, the biggest thing you're going to want to make sure you understand is the different types of characters and how they're going to really work in the game and on your team. So if we start looking at those characters, we've got a couple different classes here. We've got 4 that are very important to you, whether it's the melee category, the support, the tank, or the ranged. So we're going to be looking at each of those, kind of letting you know what they're all about, and then we'll go over to the game and show you why it matters that you really make sure that you spread yourself out through these different types of characters. So first up, we're going to start with the melee characters. Now, these aren't the best characters. They are some of the better characters in the game, but this isn't a tier list. I just wanted to point a couple of them out. And one of the first ones you're going to get is Rapunzel in the game, followed by a choice of 3 different ones. Now, me personally, and I believe even the tier lists say this, Ariel is one of the top melee characters, so you may want to select that as your starting character. But if you like Hercules, if you like Mulan, they're also great choices. So with melee, you want to be up in front of the characters. You're going to be doing all the damage, and all your spells really revolve around you taking a lot of the damage and dealing a lot of the damage out there on the field. So this class is very important and going to be the one that you really want to focus on as it relates to the character that you're most likely going to control on the battlefield. So once you got your melee character selected and you're good there, the next one that you really want to look at is support. So now support is going to be those characters that are going to help you, whether they're buffs, debuffs on the field, but they're going to keep your team alive and really pushing you through the dungeons, the events, and different things like that. So at this point, it's very well known that Mickey is one of the best supports in the game just because of his healing factor, everything he can do on the field. But now we're seeing Jack Skeleton really come up to play with his higher levels, and he's also a really good character to really invest in early on, because he's going to be able to put those debuffs all over the field, give you buffs, and then just make sure to control that damage from afar. Lastly, I'll say I really enjoy using Tiana. She's one of the other characters that I got early in the game, and she's pretty good with her heals, her stuns, her knockbacks, things like that she can do as a support character on your team. But like I said, when it comes to this game, there's a lot of different ways to make your teams, so really every character seems pretty viable as long as the right team is around them. So next up, we have the tanks. Now, the tanks are another feature here where some people like to use them, some people don't, but really they are great characters to soak up that damage and really hide behind in some of these bigger battles or high damage battles. Now we're looking at that. Oogie's one of those characters you may get early. Maui is another one that's incredible once he gets up to higher levels. And Bob, well, he's new. So if you were in the beta and you were able to do his event, you probably got some shards around him. But outside of that, we're still waiting for him to come to the crystals so that we can actually unlock him outside of that event. Lastly, we have ranged. Now, ranged originally was really good in the Mirrorverse. Now they've kind of been toned down a little bit. It doesn't mean that they're bad or they're not characters you want to invest in, because you definitely do. There's a lot of events where you have to use ranged characters, but this is the class that really needs a little bit of love going into global launch and beyond. So I've got a couple characters here. You're going to get Merida pretty early in the game, so you can use her. But we've started to see Gaston be really good. And of course, Buzz is great because he also gives you that tech faction that you're going to need over on the towers. So when it comes to range, you just really need to understand how you're going to use them, whether it's using their stuns or their big damage from afar. But the range character you pick, you really want to make sure they have great synergy and they work with the way your team style is going, because these are really going to be being controlled by the AI as you go in with your tank or your melee character and do a lot of the damage up front. So now that we've seen just an overview, let's jump over to the game and I'll show you why it really does matter that you are looking at each of these factions with the way that your resources come into the game. All right, so just like we saw in the other video that we did with our first impressions, you can see that each of these characters kind of have a color associated with them. Mickey's support, Ariel is red for melee, you've got Maui in there with tank, and Buzz over on the right side in yellow for the ranged. So this is going to easily show you which characters or which of these types or factions to really help you get into the game. Now, if I were to select one, so we'll go ahead and look at Ariel real quick. You can see that we have our levels right here on the side, and we've got our upgrades. So with each of the characters, again, 101, each time you level 10 levels, you're going to have to rank up in order to get the others. So if I look at Ariel, we can hit the upgrade button, and you're going to see that I need certain gems and certain stones in order to rank up. With each of these characters, those are going to be different based on the type of character they are. So with melee, it's going to be the red ones. With support, it's going to be the green ones. And that's why you really want to focus on one character from each of these groups. Or if you're using 2 tanks or using 2 supports, you may need to kind of focus on how you're going to farm those. But it's very important to at least at a minimum identify the 4 that you really want to go after, 1 of each, and put all your resources into those. So that way you have 1 character in each that's really strong. If not, you're going to spread your resources around and all your characters are going to be okay, but they're not going to be as strong as they could be. All right, so let's go back out real quick. So we're going to go over to Jack because Jack is the one that we're leveling up right now. Now we've got to 20. He's fine. Eventually, I'm going to take him up to 30, but we don't use him as much. Currently, my team is Ariel, Mickey, and Jack, with Maui kind of coming in and out depending on the battle. But let's go ahead and go to Jack because Jack, again, like I said earlier, is a really great all-star. So now that we have Jack up, I'm going to go ahead and hit this upgrade button. You can see that we need some of the resources. And like I mentioned, we want to make sure that we're farming these gems and we're using our dailies. So if I click on one of the gems, you can go to find more and it's going to show you where they can be found, whether it's the dailies here, or if I scroll over, you can see that there's events that are going to give these away as well. And it's going to depend on the difficulty level that you are of how many you're going to get in each of these. The scare floor itself is also just your story mode as you're going through. So let's go back over to our dailies. You want to make sure you're doing your dailies every day. And I'm going to click in and let it take us over to the daily spot and see how far we've gotten. And you'll notice with the dailies, as you go through, they're going to get progressively harder, which means you're going to have to level your characters to be able to go further into it. Let's click on one of the ones we've already completed. And that way we can use this auto button and go ahead and get the resources that we want. But we're just going to go ahead and use all of our energy right here and kind of dump it in and get as many as we can get and see what we can do. So we've got some resources. We got 56, some gold, as well as some EXP, and we're seeing that our level's going up. And every time you level, that energy cap goes up, as well as you get a free refresh of your energy at that given moment. So let's go back out. Let's see what Jack has here. Go back into our Guardians, go over to Jack, hit that upgrade, and now you can see that we have enough to go ahead and go up a level, but we'll just do our 1 level. We'll go up the level, and that's going to help all of the stats and kind of increase them there. And every so often when you get certain levels, you're also going to increase your different talents that are in here, your skills, and you can equip different ones. So level 30 is really what you're shooting for. Once you get to level 30, you're going to unlock all your skills. You're also going to unlock all 3 of the areas that you can equip those. That's really going to help with your character and make them much better. So that's what I'm doing with each of my characters right now. I'm focusing on the ones that I'm using, but 1 from each faction to take them up to 30 so I can get all their skills and really use them to the highest ability. So I hope you liked the video, and I hope that this information is really good for you if you're first starting out or wanting to get in there at global launch to know exactly what to do in the first few hours of your game. So leave a comment below, let me know what character you're looking forward to playing and getting your hands on in the game, and maybe we'll be able to do a character breakdown in one of the upcoming videos. So as always guys, take it easy.